On today's show, we're going to explore the important Instagram updates that we need to be on top of as marketers, including does saying link in bio in your content or typing it reduce your reach? Instagram has finally commented on this. Also, a change to the Reels feed that might require a shift in your strategy and the way that you make your videos. And we're getting AI-powered video editing from Instagram and Meta. We'll jump into all of that right now. My name is Jerry Potter, host of the Social Media Marketing Talk Show, a Social Media Examiner production where we break down all the latest social media news and what it means for marketers like you. Today, I'm joined by Amber Figlow. Amber is a content strategist who helps entrepreneurs easily create content to market their businesses. She regularly creates videos on her YouTube channel focused on content repurposing, and her course is called The Content System. Welcome to the show, Amber.
Hello.
So let's jump right in and let's talk about trial reels. These have been out for a while, but Instagram just sort of communicated, oh yeah, not everybody gets these. So first, what's the update on who gets to use trial reels? And actually start by explaining what they are in case anyone doesn't know what it is, and then we'll get into that.
Of course. So trial reels, it's a newer feature meant for growth on Instagram. You technically can go on and create an Instagram reel and you toggle on this button that says trial, and that reel will be specifically shown to people that do not follow you. It will not be shown to your audience. So there's potential for growth. Adam Mosseri has also said this is a great way to test out new content without your current audience seeing it. So those are the two benefits. And a lot of people still do not have access to trial reels. I think for a while it was limited based on geography and where you lived and things like that. But now Adam has actually come out and said, hey, here are two parameters. You have to have at least 1,000 followers and you have to have a public facing account. So no private accounts get access to trial reels. And his kind of rationale behind this is that if you do not have one of these two things, you might not be focused on growth, which is kind of the intention of trial reels. So they are considering allowing accounts with less than 1,000 followers, maybe in the future, as long as they're public facing. But for now, those are the two parameters that you need to stick with in order to get access to this new feature.
Well, and obviously the private part makes sense because if you are private, who else would they show them to, right?
Exactly. It's a functionality of the feature and of Instagram. So
yeah. So when I go to post, like YouTube's my primary platform, but I'll take my shorts. I'm like, I'm going to put this on Instagram and I'll look at that toggle, and I am yet to use it. But have you been playing with it for yourself or your clients? Like, what are you seeing so far with it?
Yes. So I've been playing with it for myself and for clients. One of the fun things that I'm kind of testing as I play with the new edits platform from Instagram and Meta, which is their video editing tool, I'm like, hey, let me use these new tools, these new features. And even though it's not quite my typical content style, I'll edit something quickly on edits and I'll push it out just as a trial reel, just to see. It's like a really big test for me. I have had a few hits there, a few more misses than anything for me particularly. And then for clients, we're just for specific pieces of content that we think are going to have a little bit more visibility, a little bit more reach, we'll also push it out as a trial reel. So we post it both in the regular feed for our audience to see, and then we'll also be testing it as a trial reel just to see how things perform. One fun added bonus that I want to start pitching, we were kind of talking about this earlier, is if I have like a brand partnership or if I'm working on like a very fun piece of content with another brand or something like that, I want to start offering it as an add-on, as a bonus of, hey, it's going to be posted in my regular feed, but I'm also going to post it as a trial reel. So if you're kind of in that world of things, it might be a fun little bonus and add-on.
So how do you see that as a benefit? Because I'm just thinking of some of the marketers, in our audience, and let's say somebody comes to them and go, and I'm gonna add a trial reel. Like, why should they be excited about that?
Yeah, so it's not only does the brand, they get to see, hey, you're tapping into my very well curated audience of people, and like that's the intention behind the brand partnership. But I'm also like, hey, I might get some new eyeballs. So with my current audience, I see it as more of a warm lead for the brand. Whereas if I push it out as a trial reel, might be a little bit more of a cold lead, or at least kind of start that interaction with people that don't already follow me. Not only are they seeing my face, there's a little bit of brand recognition for them. I don't know, it just feels like a win-win and just like a different audience that I might be able to tap into.
Yeah. Well, but the reason I'm asking is currently if we just publish a reel, it can reach non-followers already.
Totally.
So in your testing, are you kind of seeing, like you'd mentioned, if we think it'll get bigger reach, I assume that's because you think it'll be more mass appeal. Do you feel like it is, if you do have something that's mass appeal, it's absolutely worth toggling that on?
Yeah, I think so. Or for me, I don't tend to also lean into trends. This is another one. Trends aren't a really big part of my content strategy, but if there's one that I love and it's really going viral, amongst Instagram users, I am more likely to push it out as a trial reel to engage new community members potentially for
Okay.
me.
Yeah.
And then it's not I don't want to say watering down, but it's not watering down my typical content for my audience because my audience knows what they're getting from me. It's typically talking to camera, more educational style, and they might not want to see that content from me. So I'm even testing out jumping on more trendy stuff and pushing it out as a trial reel as well.
I like that point of clarity because we've all seen trends. And
Yes.
if you are chasing trends, which I don't do either,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I got to do that,
Yeah.
sometimes. But at the same time, I don't chase trends, but occasionally I see one and I'm like, well, that would be fun.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
what's my
Yep.
day look like? So,
Yes.
okay, love that.
Yep.
All right, big update for Instagram carousel posts, these swipeable posts that are so engaging that we love, and a new feature that is being tested, which I think could be very valuable. So, update us on exactly what this is and your thoughts.
Yes, this is a feature. Unfortunately, I wish I had. It is in very limited beta testing, but it is one that I think a lot of us are going to love. You're actually going to be able to see in the insights in your Instagram carousels now at what point your audience or people that were consuming that carousel when they liked it and what slide they liked it. And where we first saw this, I believe there was a user out there. She was like, "Oh yeah, naturally on the first slide, a lot of people went and hit that like button." But she also saw that in slide 3, in slide 4, in slide 5, she kind of had an uptick of people starting to like it, which is
Mm,
just a great indicator of, hey, that content is valuable throughout the entire carousel. So it's really just going to help us determine which slides were the most powerful. It could help strategize future carousels that you create. Like, okay, I noticed a big drop off after slide 5. Maybe I only create 5 slides now. So I think it's going to just be an interesting feature for us to have more data points on when somebody like engages with that carousel and hits that like button.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking of how powerful this would be in other content too. Like, imagine if you knew when they would tap it in your reel or your video on any platform, right? Because that's
Yes.
the moment when that emotional resonance clicked in. You
Yes.
know, it would be like on a sales page, like how far did they scroll before they clicked that, sign up
Totally.
buy now button. So,
Yes. And it's just
yeah.
a good indicator to help you analyze not only that piece of content, but future pieces. They're like, oh, right around, maybe let's say it's slide 2 or 3. I said something really powerful in that carousel. I'm like, maybe that could become a post of its own, or it could be a reel of its own. You can use it for further. Again, I talk about content repurposing. For me, that's a great indication for another piece of content around just that slide.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that moment that connection was made. I
Yes.
love that. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
great. All
Yeah.
right, and another update, I've been seeing this on and off on Facebook and Instagram Reels. I feel like for a year or a year and a half now, but now we're seeing this test even more, which I think could really shift the way that we make our Reels, at least for some brands. So, what is this new thing they're testing in the way that Reels show up?
In the auto scroll feature, yes. So this is going to be very interesting. So they're starting to test out the ability to toggle this on and off. That basically, as a post shows up in your feed, once it has been consumed, it will auto scroll to the next one. So this can, as a consumer, lead to slightly more doom scrolling. But for us as marketers, it's kind of interesting to see, like, okay, next thing, next thing, next thing. So it's like, I don't know what it's going to add to the experience, but I could see as the end user, they're just more passively consuming our content that we're putting out. I don't know how I feel about this feature yet. It's very interesting, but I like the idea. The test is being able to toggle this on and off, which I think is kind of interesting.
From the user side,
Yes,
right?
from the user side,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes, so
Like
you'll
we
be able to
can't turn it on as the
not
as
as
the
marketers.
marketer.
Yes. As the
Yeah.
consumer, as the user on Instagram, you can toggle this feature on and off. So I think that one of the use cases the article mentioned, they were like, imagine somebody's at the dentist and like their hands are tied. I'm like, I don't know why you'd have your hands tied at the dentist, but I just thought it was an interesting thing of like, maybe you're just holding it up and it's auto scrolling for you as you're performing some other activity or mundane task. And I could see that being kind of fun for consumers and users of the platform, but I don't know. This is a very weird one for me.
I first saw this on Facebook Reels a while back, and I thought, okay, well, this is going to kill the strategy of having your videos loop and have
That too.
people not realizing it. And then I've been trying to move away from short form content and watch more in-depth long form content. And one of the reasons is these posts where there's just this unbelievable hook on the screen.
Yes.
And you wait and you wait. And then it says read more.
Yes.
You know, go down to read the answer, which drives me crazy. But these read more in the captions, like people are gonna have to swipe back for it.
Yes, which is a behavior that I don't think most people will do unless it's some crazy thought-provoking reel. So I agree with you. I think it's going to, as we curate the content that we're going to put out on Instagram and Reels specifically, is that knowing that another strategy is like they'll put so much text on the screen and you can't always pause or see everything. And I'm like, it's gone in 5 seconds. And I'm like, that opportunity is now gone. So I think it's going to take those short form hacky tutorials. I think those could go away if this becomes a more predominant feature for sure.
Yeah. I think for now, just be aware of it, that some people are having this. And so if you see a drop in that type of content, then, or your loops, that could absolutely be the reason for it.
Yes.
So, all right. Does typing or saying link in bio in your content reduce your reach? They finally chimed in on this, as well as we're getting AI-powered video editing. We still have that all to come. But speaking of AI, if you're ready to move beyond basic ChatGPT prompts, join fellow marketers who are mastering AI for content, visuals, automation, and data analysis without the guesswork. We're figuring this out for you. Our expert-led training shows you exactly how to use AI to get great results. MJ Johnston, one of the members, has had an amazing automation training that has changed my life. That was worth like the whole year's fee right there. So join a trusted community where marketers like you learn, share, and grow together. Visit socialmediaexaminer.com/AI business to start your AI journey today. This week, more people were getting ChatGPT agents, and it was just all the talk in the community. So again, socialmediaexaminer.com/AI business to start your AI journey today. All right, the Edits app. You mentioned that you've worked this into your workflow sometimes, even though it's not your main thing. And they are making this more and more valuable. Like it seems like it used to be like CapCut Lite,
Yes. Yep.
but the features are coming out very, very frequently. So what are some of the updates that we're seeing in the Instagram Edits app?
Yes. So as I always want to mention, it's not my primary place for creating my video content, but I have been playing with it. And honestly, it is getting more powerful. And I think one of the really cool features that I've actually been using, again, as I'm playing with this app, is now there's an ability, as soon as you hit export, you don't have to save it to your phone anymore. If you're an iOS user, this is coming soon for Android, but you can post it directly to Instagram. So it saves storage, it makes sure the quality is nice and high, and it just gives you that ability to seamlessly create the content in Edits and get it posted in Instagram as fast as possible without any limitations. And that's probably my favorite one and the one that I've been using the most. We have voice enhancement for voiceovers. We also have this one's my favorite personally, more data for our Reels performance and things like that. And then the last one is going to be the generative AI editing. This is one I haven't personally played with, but I'm sure those features are probably going to get the most attention moving forward as we step into this like digital AI space. And I think could be really, really cool and just helping us speed up our video workflows and create really fun and interesting things.
We talked about this generative AI video editing on our Facebook show recently. And one thing I think that's really important to keep in mind, I know, we both talked about like, well, we don't really like chasing trends. But whenever they release a new feature like this, sometimes they give it priority. But more than that, like some of the effects that they're talking about is making your video look like a comic book or a video game aesthetic and things like that. And so when you think about what people will stop for, anything that they're not used to seeing is always going to go to the top of the list. Weird angles, different things like that. So that's one of those ones that I think, if you've got the capacity, might be worth checking out just because you might get some extra attention from it already.
Totally. Yes.
Yeah. So, all right. Another thing that Instagram is doing, this is really interesting because we're not seeing this, I don't feel like as much on most of the platforms, is helping us create and keep track of ideas and things inside of these tools from the platforms themselves. So what is this update? I'm seeing sticky notes. I'm seeing audio. Like, tell us what's going on here.
Yes. So the way that you can start to use edits and Instagram kind of combined is they are starting to enhance the features of how you start to collect content ideas, collect ideas, manage your projects. And I think this is great for the solo marketers, so the people that don't have to work with so many brands, or if you're just working for one brand, you can start to collect and curate a lot of ideas that you could post. So you're able to, in edits now, you can save audios, you can leave sticky notes directly on them, which sticky notes is just a fancy way of saying like, I'm going to add a little context why I saved this, or maybe,
A note.
yeah, there you go. A note, a sticky
Yeah.
note. And then basically you can also check them off as done. You can click done on those sticky notes. So again, they're starting to bring in like project management is what it feels like to me inside the app internally. I still think there are limitations, but I think this is really, really great to, at least as you're scrolling for research or inspiration or however you curate your ideas for Instagram, it's just a great way to easily save things as you're consuming.
Yeah, well, especially if you work on your phone primarily, that's
Yes.
your main place. Then yeah, especially the voice notes.
Oh,
Right,
yes. Yeah.
that part I would absolutely use because I use voice notes for everything. So
Yeah, absolutely.
all right, another update about not the sticky notes in there, but actual notes on Instagram. They've rolled out some new customization. What are you seeing with this, and any additional thoughts you have on it?
Yeah, notes aren't something that I really have as a part of my strategy, but I've seen people in my industry absolutely love them. And basically, it's just a quick way to have a note as you scroll over into the DMs or the messages feed. And basically, you can just, it's almost like a little feed up at the top. Now, instead of just, quickly putting up some text on there, you can also brand it, is the way that I look at it. You can change the background color and you can add like an emoji avatar almost. So I think it's a really fun touch point if you are a marketer or if you're managing a community where DMs are like really, really hot with your audience. And I think this could be a unique feature to just have another branded element. Other than that, I wouldn't put too much thought or emphasis beyond that of like, you need a strategy for your notes. I just think it's another fun little branded moment that you can have.
We're not testing note colors necessarily, like A/B testing, like when I put a green note up.
More people look at my note if it's green. Yeah, no, I wouldn't put too much emphasis on it for now. Who knows what these can turn into? But I just, again, think it's just one of those fun little things that Instagram's adding to our plate.
Well, I mean, basic psychology, use a note color that's not the default, and it will stand out at least for a while until more people start using that. So.
Exactly. Yes.
All right. And more updates in the DMs as well, including one where it will actually translate messages into 99 languages. Basically, you hold down a message and select translate. So what are your thoughts on this? Do you see this? Do you see some applications for this?
Absolutely. So I think this is going to be really important for, honestly, when I heard this feature, I immediately thought of like e-commerce brands that sell worldwide and sometimes get DMs in a language that, where they're not based in their native country. So it allows you to easily translate and have communication with somebody that doesn't speak the same language as you, which I find very fascinating in terms of accessibility, customer support, things like that. Of course, if you have a more worldwide brand, I think this is amazing, and that you're able to still connect with your community despite a language barrier. So I found this as a really cool tool, and you're not having to run to like Google Translate in order to just have a simple conversation with somebody. So I found this one really groundbreaking. I'm like, why didn't we have this one sooner?
Yeah, well, and another benefit of AI. But yeah, when I worked at an agency years ago, we had this amazing Mexican restaurant, and occasionally we would get questions in like the Facebook or Instagram inbox in Spanish.
Yes.
And our process was to go to Google Translate, translate the question, write our response, translate the response. Then we would text the whole thing to a manager at one of the restaurants who was really fluent in both languages, and then he would reply.
Yes.
And it was a lot of work. It was worth it, right? It was customer service, but this is this is beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah. And another thing that I'm more excited about, and I'll tell you why in a second, but the ability to schedule DMs rather than sending right away. So what are your thoughts around this?
This is one of my favorite things to do, not only in text message form. I do this personally and with emails. This is something I employ in my business because I can recognize that I need to have clear boundaries on when I'm communicating with my audience. That's the big thing.
Same. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
But I sometimes like to work outside of those hours, but I want to maintain those boundaries. So for me, I'm like, you're getting a response between 9 and 5, typical working hours, but maybe I'm checking my DMs at 10 o'clock at night. I don't want to set the standard of, oh, they can expect a response from me any time of day. So now I can pre-schedule them, which I find for 9 o'clock the next morning. That is the best use case that I have found, but I'd love to hear your thoughts too.
Well, that's absolutely one of them. It is about boundaries and
Yes.
kind of not giving the impression. This comes from my agency days too, where I used to reply to messages around the clock, and I stopped, and eventually clients realized they weren't going to get a response, at 7 o'clock at night. And so they would Google things instead of emailing me about them, things
Yep.
like that. So that's one of them. The other one though is, and I think this is even more so in the DMs than via email, is you avoid getting into a back and forth like live message, assuming that you don't want to. There may be some higher end clients or something you want to do that, but that's the
Yes.
other reason I love scheduling. So I think that's great that that's in
That's a
there
good
like that.
point too. Yes.
Yeah. So, all right. And the link in bio debate. So this is one of those conspiracy theories. It's floated around for years. If you say link in bio or you put it in your caption, your reach will plummet. And now Instagram chief Adam Mosseri has publicly spoken out about this. So what did our friend Adam say?
So Adam said, no, this doesn't actually happen, which again, this is a wild rumor that has been going around, I feel like, since marketers joined Instagram. Adam has said that it does not go out, Instagram doesn't go out of their way to decrease your reach because you hit link in bio. And what I would offer as a piece of advice, if you see this, if you notice this, even in your content, typically speaking, when you add that link in bio at the end, at the beginning, wherever in your caption, typically it is a more promotional heavy post. And as we know, as marketers, those just tend to get less engagement, less reach. It doesn't mean that link in bio is the reason why. It's just the nature of that type of content. It is still important and impactful to have a call to action and drive people where you need to drive them. So I say still say link in bio or direct people somewhere.
Yeah, I always like to remind people, it depends on why you're doing it,
Yeah.
but it is a service to our audience to tell them how they can get the thing that we just told them would be good.
Exactly.
But I think you're absolutely right. If it feels promotional, you're less likely to get a like, you're less likely to get a comment. They're less likely to make it to the end if it's a reel or
Yes.
a carousel or anything like that. So while we're on this though, what about Instagram stories with links in them?
So again, another a thing that I'm always like, just because the link is there, it's not always the link. How are we curating the story experience? Again, if you just say, buy my product, here's the link. Yeah, people are going to swipe through that. It's not an engaging way to kind of create the content. So again, I don't think it's necessarily the link in and of itself. It is, how are you crafting that piece of content to keep people engaged, to signal to the algorithm that this is a good piece of content. So again, I think the same principle holds true, that it's not the fact that the link is there. It is just the nature of the type of content.
So I am not a conspiracy theorist. And I also am very much like, one of my core principles is no blaming outside factors that I can't control, right?
Yeah.
It's more about, okay, how, I'm not getting as much reach. What can I do? But I guess I feel like I've talked to enough marketers where they'll say, yeah, I had 4 stories and the first 2 reached 284 people and the third one reached 80. And then the fourth one that was posted later in the day all of a sudden reached 200 again. So like there's more, because of the way stories work, there's more actual theoretical, like strong evidence, as opposed to, oh, I said link in bio in this one and it completely tanked, an independent piece of content. So
Totally.
I don't know.
Absolutely. I think there's just so much nuance and complexity when it comes to it too. And I'm just like, look at all the factors involved. And I agree with you. It's hard to blame all outside factors. And it's like, okay, maybe let's evaluate the piece of content instead.
Yeah. All right. Quick reminder, learn more about becoming an AI enhanced marketer at socialmediaexaminer.com/AI business. Again, socialmediaexaminer.com/AI business. And Amber, where is the best place for people to find out more about you?
You guys can literally find me on vast majority of platforms. My favorite one to connect on though is going to be Instagram. You can find me at Amber Ficklow.
All right. And a couple of other podcasts for you to check out for your listening lineup. One, the Social Media Marketing Podcast, and also the AI Explored Podcast. Until next time, may you be wise with your marketing decisions. Thanks, everyone.